We are starting today with last night's primetime January 6th hearing. It focused on former President Trump and what he did or did not do during the 187 minutes when his supporters were storming the Capitol. We heard testimony that for 3 hours, Trump refused to publicly condemn the insurrection as he sat in a White House dining room watching the events unfold on Fox News. Although he did tweet this, condemning former VP Mike Pence for not having the courage to overturn the election, an action that was described last night as, quote unquote, pouring gasoline on the fire of the rioters that day. So for the first time, we also saw outtakes of Trump's January 7th speech. Take a look.
This election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Just take it out. The heinous attack.
Good. Take the word yesterday, because it doesn't work with the heinous attack.
In response, Trump posted this on his social media platform saying, quote, "I had an election rigged and stolen from me and our country. The USA is going to hell. Am I supposed to be happy?" So what did you all think of last night's hearing and some of these new details? We want to hear from you. Tori, I know that you were anticipating this all day yesterday.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It's really important what side you're on. It doesn't matter that when the president takes an oath of office, some of the language is you are holding an oath to faithfully execute the laws, right? To continually see what he did and continually push the mob, incite the mob, see what we saw. He didn't allow for a transfer of power, which is what makes America. That is the law. If you could pick one law, that's the law you got to execute. To me, they really proved he destroyed his oath of office in this grouping, in this hearing. And it was a shocking thing to see, and there was more violence than I thought. And I'm proud of the people who resigned at that moment on January 6th that were witnesses, because they were on the Trump team and said, I cannot stand for this.
Before we bring Mark in, I just want to hear from you quickly. Consequences? Do you think there's going to be consequences?
I really think Merrick Garland is someone I'm scared won't do anything. That's the man we all have to see. I'm worried he's too weak. Do I think the Department of Justice and Merrick Garland should? Yes, I do.
All right. Well, there was so much more that happened last night. We also heard radio traffic from former Vice President Mike Pence's Secret Service detail that showed just how close they came to encountering the dangerous mob that day while trying to evacuate. Take a look at this.
We got smoke downstairs set by unknown smoke set downstairs by the protesters.
Is that route compromised?
We have this is secure. However, we will bypass some protesters that are being contained. There is smoke, unknown what kind of smoke it is. Copy.
Clear, we're coming out now, all right? Make a way.
There was also testimony that members of that Secret Service detail were afraid for their own lives, and there were calls made to say goodbye to family members. For more on this, we are joined by veteran trial attorney Mark Eiglarsh. Mark, thank you so much for always joining us, always under heightened circumstances.
Yeah, right?
Yes, always.
We should have a fun, goofy segment at some point.
I know, we just need Mark for like a lighthearted segment one day.
Eiglarsh.
At some point, me and Mark will make fun of each other. But for the moment, let's talk business here, Mark. It seems like all of these hearings are getting to one thing, going after former President Trump. In my opinion, I think they just want to make sure he can't run into 2024 election, but that's a sidebar. What charges could be brought against him legally?
Okay, well, first of all, we have to separate morally versus legally. I think that Tori's argument is as fabulous as her hair. I agree that he didn't act as you would if you're upholding the laws of this country. So morally, it's problematic. For 187 minutes, allegedly, he did nothing when he knows that the rioting's going on. That said, legally, we've got some greater challenges. People have said, but Mark, clearly he incited a riot. The things that he said, the things that he did, the things that he didn't do. The problem with inciting a riot legally is you've got to prove that he said things and did things that encouraged the rioters to actually do destruction and do the things that they did. There's a fine line between saying, for example, those cops are horrible, they beat up people, versus let's all beat up the cops because they're bad. So similarly, unless he said specific language that directed people to destroy and attack the Capitol, that's different than just saying something that angered those people that caused them to attack.
Well, you know, I've always had questions with this, like, what charges could he possibly face? Because he's a former president. So do you think he's going to see any of these charges, or this is going to be more ceremonial?
I think it's going to be more symbolic. I think it's going to be tough to bring criminal charges where the burden of proof is beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. One would argue, okay, he obstructed an official proceeding. How did he do that? By blocking Congress's vote on January 6th. It's a tough case to sell. Or conspiracy to defraud the U.S. because he resulted to using lots of schemes to try to overturn the election. It's great on a law school exam. They'll give you lots of points for it, but in reality, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think maybe in Georgia, where he tried to find the votes, they said that's more likely to see criminal charges or whatnot. I do want to ask you something about last night, Mark. This is everywhere. Republican Senator Josh Hawley. All right. The committee showed this picture of the senator, and this is before the crowd stormed the Capitol. It is on January 6th. He's raising his fist in solidarity with the crowd, and he really riled up the crowd, and they really believed we are definitely listening to our government. We're doing our duty. Then they showed this video from later showing Josh running through the corridors trying to get out. Okay, as the Capitol came under attack by that very same crowd. Here he is again on the right. You can see him going down that escalator. What's your take on this? Can some of these other men be held accountable as co-conspirators? Or was this just a dig because the whole room erupted in laughter, apparently, in the committee when this happened?
Again, we've got to make the distinction, morally or legally. Him raising his fist and encouraging the crowd and getting them going, morally, that's problematic. Legally, the question is, what specifically did he do? I mean, they're going to analyze it right down to every detail. Saying I'm with you by raising his hands up is different than encouraging them to then go and do damage and storm and trespass and burgle and do crimes. It depends on what he did specifically.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense.
So, Mark, what more do you think would need to be done in order to bring charges against Trump or some of these co-conspirators?
You've got to see specific evidence of them saying things to encourage that criminal activity to occur. You've got to see them aiding, abetting in some way. Unless you've got significant evidence, not just even some, but beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt, they're not going to bring this very highly contested political type of prosecution.
No, and Sam, I want to jump in. Do we have time?
We don't. Sorry, we only have a minute left. We do have to go. They're telling me to wrap. I'm sorry. We could keep Mark all the time. Really quickly, Mark, what did you think of Jeff's stash?
Yeah, it's problematic. That's the only crime I see this week, really.
I'm glad we got that last one. Hey, Mark, seriously, though, I want to say congrats on LT. I saw on your Instagram. That was good for you. That's a little inside thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You two, I'm jealous.
And I wanted to divert from the mustache.
Okay, Mark, thank you for joining us here at DBL. For more information to our viewers on Mark and his law firm, you got to go to speaktomark.com. We appreciate you, Mark. See you soon.
Thanks, brother.
Love you guys.
Love
Take
you.
care.